politics. It is not with anything else. It is within ourselves. Then he said, we have to resolve it. No wonder we have come to resolve that. And he said, I will do one thing. And that is our urge for all of us here. That is my urge. That's your urge. Yetudu. That's your urge. The problem is not out there. It's not with other people. We should not fight other people. The problem is with us. And that's why she resolved, I will do one thing. I will take a broom and sweep. What happened? You know it? What happened when she did that? Hey, she found the coin. The lost coin was not out. It was within. And when she did it, what happened? She found the coin and celebrations. We want to find our coin. We want to find our values. So that the date 26, the date 1926 will be a great part of us. Saying, hey, we have found our identity. We have found our values. We have found what we've been longing for. The respect to our institutions. The respect to our officers. The respect, we want that. So we have called the Presbytery officials to come and take their broom. So that when you go out there, you sweep with it, you'll find the coin. You'll find it. Within no time, it will be found. Our dignity will be found. Our respect to one another, democratically, in either way, it will be found. And when I was thinking about this, I realized it is not hard. Just a matter of time. When you sweep Moses, finally in your presbytery, you find your coin. You find your stand. It will be found. Why not? Not unless you are not ready to sweep. So I realized that it is important. You all know that I use illustrations to do things. I still have it today. So, Modoi, can you give me that broom? This is what we have come to do. You take your broom as a presbytery. Every presbytery will have its own broom. So when you go to your respective parishes, your respective presbyteries, then you broom out. You find, there are several here, my brother. Don't mind. You take yours. You know, it is sweeping. That's why it is at work. It is at work. So these are product of efforts. So we have come here for each presbytery to take its broom and we sweep. Then we find our values, our coin. Everything will be found. And treasurer, give me one for the treasurer. I want to allow the speaker to, the secretary to project. Give that one to the moderator. Yes, he need one. He need to sweep the head office and to make sure that all other issues that need out, so he can find unity, harmony. Clap for him. Yes. We also need to give one to the treasurer. He need to bring the rightful policies, the rightful way of practice. I think the 100 years will be a mark of finding our identity. Treasurer, take your broom. Make sure that you do it and give one to the DSG. You know, he's now brooming. I think it's on 30th. You have a broom. And we want it, when he does it, it should be giving values and taking one to the next parish, knowing that you are taking a coin. Yes. So the appointment committee, your broommate, we are waiting to see. We are waiting to see how you sweep on 30th. All of us be careful and sweep clean, without malice, but with equality. I think those with 5 years and above, I think the broom is at work. But do it diligently with a lot of caution. We want to give the chair to foundation committee. Foundation iko wapi? A broom wa sweep mpaka milele ipatikane. Sijui kama imepotea wapi wa broom. Yes, I want to do it. Yeah.
Hatukuja sana hii.
Sawa.
Kuna ile ambayo ilituleta.
Yes, but I think it's also very important.
Harakisha.
Okay. So we have come for that. So let us work together as a teamwork, and in oneness we will achieve our objective. In the name of God, the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. We want to ask the secretary to take us through so that we can find our book.
morning and praise the Lord. Habari zenu. Good afternoon this morning. It is morning still. I do not have the broom. I do not have anything else except I come in the name of Christ. Praise the Lord. Habari zenu. On behalf of the anniversary committee, I want to share a very brief presentation in about 15 or so minutes. I will take you through the presentation, and the hope and the goal for the whole presentation is that at the end, A, you will understand or have an idea of what we are doing. B, you will support, and where there are questions, you will help us clarify. And number 3, you will add ideas unto already what we have presented. So brethren, you have a copy of this same presentation in your WhatsApp. The clerks I have seen in our wall, we have the same presentation. Please share it to the office and anyone else you desire to share with. Bwana asifiwe. Now, today we stare at history. 100 years since the first ministers were African ministers were ordained. The chair has highlighted the 3 that were ordained on March 7th, 2026 at Dogoto. Stare at history, and people who never celebrate their history also forget their identity. The invitation today is for all of us to celebrate this great milestone of 100 years, but also forecast what is ahead of us. Brothers and sisters, you will agree with me, because most of you have been in this church for a long time, that in the recent times, many times when we have anniversaries, the accusation has been that we are only focusing on monuments, pomp, cake cutting, new uniform, but nothing about the whole celebration. Our desire is that this celebration, we will not only focus on all other things that the people have focused on, but also we will focus on the software. Brothers and sisters, we desire to focus on the software as much as we focus on the hardware. One of the things we, as I earlier said, we hope today is to just cast a vision, so that when we go to our presbyteries and parishes and all other places, we will properly articulate and help implement. But over and above that, is that if you look at the scriptures, God always, when he was calling people, he would start with casting the vision. Hopefully today, as we share what we too have seen, you will get the same clarity as we have. From history, the ministers, the first 8 ministers, in fact, the original class had 11 ministers, but 3 dropped on the way because the training was so long, and after some time, it was in total 12 years training for ministry. So the 8 that were ordained from history, the history we have gathered, they were ordained for 3 reasons. The first one is that the missionaries were overwhelmed by the pastoral ministry and the evangelization that was going on. And therefore, the ministers, the missionary ministers who were there, felt they were no longer impactful. So what did they do? They started preparing others, African ministers, to take up the roles they were having and also help them. This is from the records of the Kikuyu News, copies of which we have. Kikuyu News and was reported to the then General Assembly on June 3rd, 1926. Now, if the initial ministers, 8 ministers, were being prepared for ordination and therefore ordained because the work was too much for the missionary ministers, our invitation for this celebration, brothers and sisters, is we must ask ourselves, even as we celebrate, to what extent we ministers are we impactful in our ministry and evangelization? Do we still carry the burden for ministry even as we celebrate? In this present generation, what is the depth of our commitment to the mission? Ministers in the house, you will remember, most of you, when we were being recruited during interview, tulikuwa tunaulizwa, ndugu, ukiodeiniwa utumwe lodwa, utaenda? Tukasemaje? Bwana akitumana. Na sasa? Na sasa? Na mkumbuke dhati edhiko. But the question is, then they were ordained because the pastoral workload had become too much for the existing missionary ministers. Now, and the ministers felt they were no longer impactful. Our question we must ask in this generation, 100 years later, are we impactful or we have lost it? Number 2, the second reason why they were ordained was because of the numerical growth. The mission areas had increased, grown. In the next slide, you will see a tabulation of the growth in 6 years. If you can go to the next slide, then we'll come back. In 1914, the people baptized in that year were 106. In 1920, 524. The number had grown 5 times. The catechumen in 1914 were 55. In 1920, they were 441. And so forth and so forth. Now, because of this numerical growth, therefore, they decided the only way we nurture other to help us and even take after us. 100 years, because we stand at a point of history. 100 years from now, what will the people judge us? How will they judge us? We therefore must ask ourselves in this generation, how has the church grown in the last 100 years? If this celebration is to make meaning, how have we grown? Is this our church still growing, or is shrinking, or is dying? How are we managing that growth? Are we faithful? Is it sustainable? Does the personnel we have correspond to the ministry load? These are questions we must ask ourselves. Number 3, reason was, if you look, there is a scan of an extract from Kikuyu News, the Kikuyu News of September 1924. The summary of that extract is that these 8 were being prepared to be ordained, not to church, to serve in the Church of Scotland Mission or any other associated missionary society, but they were being ordained for the United African Church, which is the precursor to the NCCK we have now. In other words, they were being prepared to serve in the United African Church. 100 years as Presbyterians, we must ask ourselves in this celebration, how much are we still engaged in ecumenism? Or have we become lukewarm in places like NCCK? And depending on the outcome to that question, we must ask ourselves, how shall we be more engaged in? Number 2, these men were being ordained for the United Church. We must ask ourselves now, how are we united? Is the church united? the church given to us by our fathers and mothers in faith, those gone before us, how are we dealing with it? Are we still united, or we are a broken body? Are we united? In these 100 years, that's a critical question of unity we must ask ourselves. Brothers and sisters, history tells us those three things were the reasons why they were ordained. Having said that, this is the summary, just a recap. They were ordained because the ministers, the missionaries were no longer impactful. Are we impactful? Has the church grown, and in what ways? Are we still united? Looking at all that history, we therefore propose to you that the theme for these celebrations be from 2 Kings chapter 22, verse 1 to 10. 2 Kings chapter 22, verse 1 to 10. The theme verse being verse 8. Verse 8. Where it is written that the book of the law was found. And after the book of the law was found, a few things came out from that, from when the book of the law was found. This was during the reign of King Josiah, when the temple was being rebuilt. The people repented. There was reflection, an invitation to reflect on the ways, the way they were dealing with God. There was repentance. There was a renewed devotion to God. There was repairing the temple. There was faithfulness with the resources. If you actually look at, should be verse 10, those given the monies were not required to account for the monies they were given because they were faithful. I hope we can get there someday. There was a recommitment to the way. So brothers and sisters, the invitation for this celebration is for us to find the book and come back to God. After serving, come back, as we serve, come back to God and do as He requires of us. To celebrate these 100 years, what do we propose, among other things? One, you have seen colleague ministers, the many debates we have on social media, many times inconclusive, but we propose to you that it is time we brought a conclusion to that debate in these 100 years. Among many other things that are happening are deliberations on the meaning and the symbolism our vestments carry. But while we are at it, we can revise the stole to a new design. This is just one of the many thoughts. So that it reflects the legacy of 100 years and also the projection for 100 years. One other thing we want to propose to you is a walk by all the ministers from the selected points. Among the mentioned is we reenact what the first ministers did, either walk from Dogoto to Tumutumu or reflect the growth. Come from our regional headquarters, walk to a central place where we will have the celebration. Either way, a walk. Those of you who were active in 1991, you remember there was a torch, Kemuri, from Kibwezi to Dogoto. Something like that. But in this time, we have the ministers do it. Of course, if elders come, we would love to have you because we serve in parity. If Christians come, you are welcome. But the idea is a walk, a meaningful walk by all the ministers. Number 3, we will conduct a survey. Actually, today, we will do a test run of a survey. The questionnaire is ready. We will do a test run with a few of you and see if it can generate the data that is required. At the end, we will do a survey. Number 4 is we have student ministers for their practical year in different presbyteries. A proposal is, just like the 3 ordained in Dogoto, the 5 ordained to Mutomo, can we reenact their licensing together? They are brought together, and that is done together in celebration. Number 5, we want to propose that we conduct a workshop and a training, an in-service training. All other professions, every so often, they are called for updating. Brothers and sisters, ministers in the house, you will agree. If I celebrate communion and Reverend J here celebrates communion with the same liturgy, there will be a huge difference in how we do it. Yet we are all Presbyterian ministers. So how can we be so different yet belonging to the same church? During the ordinations that have just been concluded, colleague ministers, you will agree, you will remember the many debates we had on social media. Who should have the purple and who should not? Who should sit where and who should not? Yet, we were all ordained and we belong to the same church. The only way, brothers and sisters, is for all of us to sit together like children of one God, is serving in one church, and agree on the way forward. We have the materials, we have the personnel, we have the knowledge, we have the skills and resources. This can be done. And number 6 is give amnesty, some of the activities. Give amnesty or restoration for ministers who have repented. Of course, this is a reserve of the Presbytery primarily, but we would propose to them to think about it. Celebrations like this should bring to the fold such people. Brothers and sisters, what do we require from you as I bring it to a close? What do we need? You have come, but what do we need from you? One is share with us, from that brief presentation you have an idea. What more? How more can we make it impactful? Number 2 is help us mobilize, so that this is a glorious event reflecting the history and reflecting God. Number 3, Presbytery officials, facilitate the survey that we will do. You see, in our current generation, in terms of leadership that decisions that are not made with data are not impactful in our generation. So we desire that as we forecast for the next 100 years, our decisions be data-driven. So we will share our questionnaire. Please help us, as many as we can. Please help us fill it. Number 4, support us with prayers, finances, and any other way towards the success of those celebrations. Thank you, brethren. God bless you. If there are any questions, we can respond. Any clarifications, we can respond. But thank you very much for your time. Asante.
Bwana asifiwe. We can appreciate them better. I think at this time we may invite some comments, some questions. Part of what they have brought to us is they will be richer with your contribution, with your votes. They have their own suggestions that they have brought that can be refined so that they will be better, so that they will not be theirs, but they will be ours. And therefore, we can take maybe the first 5 of the questions. Maybe we can have questions first, and then we will have comments. So, monitor, we can have the questions first, and then after we respond to the questions, after they respond to the questions, then we can have some comments.
Okay. And the first question is from me. We know we have 100-year celebrations, not just of ordination of ministers. We're also celebrating 100 years of Alliance High School. March next year. We are celebrating the New Testament in Gikuyu. March next year. We are celebrating the Gikuyu liturgy. 100 years. can the three meet? And I think we have talked about this matter before with you. So I don't know whether there is any meeting. Alliance may be tricky a bit because of other denominations, although I know there is work going on of building an anniversary chapel. The New Testament is under the Bible Society, but the liturgy is at us. I don't know whether we can find, because we have talked about it with you people. Yes. So I wish you would say something about it so that we can also include it. Because these are the same people we involve. Okay, they have noted that. But they won't respond now. Maybe they won't respond first.
Thank you, Moderator. We have the Alliance, we have the translation of the New Testament, Gikuyu liturgy. We have factored them in during the celebration, the celebrations from March 7th. One of the things we have done is, in collaboration with Reverend Lucy, who is sitting in the committee for Alliance celebration, we are following up, and we have asked that they tell us where, or rather involve us where they need us. The second one is the translation of the New Testament to Gikuyu. We are following up, and maybe brethren from Githunguri Presbytery can help. We have been told, someone mentioned that the original translation, the first copy of the Gikuyu Bible is with someone in Githunguri Presbytery. I don't know who. So we are following that up. If we would have it, Moderator, I think it would even be a beautiful thing if we take a reading from that original translation. For the Gikuyu, for the liturgy, there is a liturgy committee as well going on. So one of the things we haven't linked up with them, but their leader is in our committee. We are hoping that one of the many activities during the celebration is a relaunch of the reviewed liturgy. So all of them, they are part of us.
Thank you, thank you. That will mean if there will be a cake, it will be quite a storied cake because of all those matters that we are celebrating. But we hear like two of them are at us. The others are maybe a bit ecumenical. The New Testament was done by the Bible Society. It is them who now do the Bible, not us, although our ministers were involved. And again, the Alliance High School, we are in the board, and we have even made a contribution to the building of the chapel. So we are also part of those celebrations. So we'll find a way of bringing them together. So even as we celebrate that, that is our very own. The ministers are our very own. The liturgy is our very own. Those two, we are also shareholders, so to speak. And we also want to be part of the joy. Okay, questions now. Level Degwa, level Jige. Is there a mic available?
My name is Moses. I love the Lord as my Savior. I have just a few maybe questions that I need to raise. One, it really cost so much for us to be here, coming from different directions, and waiting to hear this break news of the But I have a few questions. One, I don't know whether you prayerfully searched for that theme of the lost coin. You are giving us the broom. I am sure we should be celebrating more the achievements for the last 100 years. In fact, I am part of that 100 years because I was ordained within that 100 years. It's not only Musa Getau, even Musa Degwa is part of that 100 celebration. So we are all in it in terms of celebrating. Personally, I feel your theme is more challenging us how we have failed. Because you are saying we take the broom, we sweep, we look for the coin. I don't see anything celebration there. personally, I don't know, the theologians are here. I think there is so much to celebrate for 100 years. 2, moderator, we are celebrating, we need to trace back. Now I become an advocate for pastors' kids. We should celebrate, looking forward whether there is any generation remaining.
I think
for those.
You'll be more in the comments than in the question.
I want to ask the moderator.
Okay, be fast then.
Have you thought about the children of those ministers that you are saying about them? Have you thought about it? 2, do you have anything that you want us to achieve, like maybe a scholarship, endowment? What is the end result of all this celebration? What do you want us to achieve? What is it that you say, we celebrated, we started this? Is there anything specific that you want us to celebrate? Finally, do you have a timetable of these activities? Or you are telling us, you write a letter to you, we'll go a walk. We write a letter to you, you'll do 1, 2, 3 in the region. I feel like you are calling us to help you plan, when you should have planned and brought every detail to us, we go and worked on it. Now you don't have a timetable, you don't have those things, you only have a survey. Fine, we'll take the survey and go home.
Questions, please. They will respond. Leverage.
Thank you, Moderator Sir. I tend to believe that this is just about a beginning, so the devil should not hit them hand. We are just in the beginning. That is why we are called in a hurry. I have one question. As we do the amnesty for ministers, is it possible also to include the elders who were defrocked and have so far repented? We bring them back if they are still active. And question 2 is about activities, whether we can also have mass weddings and such kind of celebrations within the parish. Because if it is only impactful at the higher level, then the members down there will not understand what we are doing. But if we have weddings, we have things that are organized to make them know there is something going on, maybe they will have a mark in their lives. Thank you, sir.
I see you had there at the back, Dr. Mwenje.
Thank you, moderator. I'm Johnny Mwenje, so my head is still bored. But my question is, as we give amnesty to others, can we give amnesty to our children who are 22 years and they are graduates of the universities with the degrees, but they have a call to the ministry? Can we have that kind of amnesty that even a 22-year-old who has a degree can still get into the ministry and be trained?
Thank you, moderator. My name is Shangari. I want to commend what has been said and what has been done, and many things that have been said.
Question.
But I would ask the committee if you have any archive as we celebrate has always been asked about and talked about. Do we have any monumental archive, something that can be even remembered these 100 years that we have gone?
Warutere.
My name is Warutere Patrick. I have one question. We have said about what Alliance at the 100 years of their existence. Do we have any project that we can plant as a pillar for our remembrance of 100 years?
I'm looking for a lady. Can't see one. I'm looking for a lady. Reverend Gyoko thinks he is a lady for now. Anyway, because he kept his hand up. Our Reverend Jane will come after Yoko.
Thank you. I think my question is, we are beside the points that, the 3 points that you talk about that made the missionaries to look for more. Have you also considered some of the dynamics that actually propelled the missionaries to look for indigenous workers? For instance, the problems that was there concerning FGM across not only the church, but also the community. And the other question is, now that at this point, the FGM is also a problem, but still we have more serious problem like alcohol and drugs. Can we, at this time, consider alcohol and drug as a challenge that can be tackled during a celebration, and even coming up with a model rehab funded by the entire church?
Well, this is Reverend Jane, Dr. Jane.
Thank you, moderator. Mine is a comment. Is it okay if I say it at this point?
I hear like even what we're asking you more or less comments. So no harm, I guess. We'll mix them.
Thank you, moderator. At this point, celebrating 100 is something that is very important for us as a church. And any religion that does not document loses their own history. So I want to ask if they have thought about how we can have a symposium, call for papers and presentations so that we can ask ourselves critical questions. Where are we at 100 in terms of ordination of ministers? How many ministers were ordained? And the future of ordained ministry at 100 and beyond. Because we will need to document all this information so that the future ministers, the future generation can find it as history. And so that we do not lose our oral literature and our oral history. Thank you, moderator.
Elder here. And another one, Washila there.
Thank you, moderator, and the entire team. I'm Elder Samuel Wamutito from Monanga Presbytery. I'm grateful to be this team. Mine is a question that we have a good number of our congregations that have not been dedicated, primarily because of financial constraints. Could the time be prime for those congregations to be dedicated unconditionally, that we are celebrating our 100 years? Thank you.
Okay, Washila.
Okay, thank you, moderator and people present. I'm just posing this question to the committee concerning how best are we willing to use the digital space as far as all these presentations are concerned, and ensure that probably the church website and all those spaces are well utilized to make sure the information flows in this technology era. I think that would be very, very critical.
We close over the Rubonga. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, moderator. And the general membership of the committee. My question is, are we going to consider those Presbyterian who might have gone to the wider world, they became good Presbyterian, and then they rose up to be ordained within the fraternity of Presbyterians, because that would have a wider bearing, because we were preached to, and now we are preaching out. Finally, in the world bodies have we made any contribution? If so, should it be inclusive in our database? Thank you.
Moderator, as we thank the team, I would like to ask if there is any activity that will move the celebration to the how do you call them? Non-traditional communities. Because the wazungu walituletea, tukateua hapa, mara nyingi tuko kwa mlima, lakini tukatoka kidogo. Kuna nafasi ya kuwa na activity moja nzuri ya kuonyesha watu wenye sio wa mlima kwamba pia wao wana belong. Thank you.
Basi haya, hii ni workshop yaonekana ambapo tunatoa mawazo na maoni, na kwa hivyo we will leave this place richer than we came, even as we look at the march date. So you have heard the questions, you have heard some of them are almost comments framed as questions. So now I think we can have a response and then have another round. Now even of comments now. Maybe we could have a response from you people, the committee, the business committee, subcommittee. We could hear some responses.
Thank you, moderator, and brethren gathered. The initial comments on the theme. First, we, even without leaving this place, we thank God that you're already feeling guilty. Any theme and any reading of the scripture that does not leave you feeling guilty, it wasn't effective at all. Therefore, we know when you go, you will start repenting. On the plan and the details, today the intention was just to share the vision. We have the details, but we do not want to tire you with the details. So as often as we can, with the help of the GA office, we will share the details. On the question of the intake by Dr. Mwenje, that is a preserve of the DSG. He will advise further. On mass weddings, Reverend Jige and the two others, I think this would be a beautiful thing. And the intention is for us today, when we share, then you go customize with what you want at the grassroots. So from where we stand, it would be a beautiful thing to celebrate. On the amnesty, see, amnesty with regard to the ministers and the elders, it's a preserve of the Presbytery. So there again, the Presbytery is at liberty to express the celebration as they deem fit. For as long as I forget the English translation, I don't know the English translation. Does not go against any article of faith. I think that should be translation. Reverend Shangari and Reverend Warotere asked almost similar questions on the archive. Indeed, I think it would be a beautiful thing if we did an archive. The elders planned for it. I think we can do it. One of the things that makes me sad is in my custody, I have the session minute book of 1923, 1919 to 1935. The session at the Goto. I have it. I have been asking myself, when I die and my son is not interested in these things, where will we take it? I have a copy of the Kikuyu News. I had brought it with an intention to show Kikuyu News 1915 to 1929. And there are many others here who have very helpful documents. When we are long gone, where will they die? Where will they go? So should you say we go that way to the archives? Why not? Project? Why not? But for us, we are ready to facilitate whatever happens. Reverend Jane on documentation and on digital moves. Reverend Gato is heading a committee on literature and communication. And one more thing I forget.
And the intention is that we document first what we are doing so that future generations see it, but also gather the stories. And those of you ministers on our wall saw him do yesterday. He has already begun gathering stories. So that is ongoing, and we hope to do a good job. On symposium and workshop, we had debates, a lot of debates. And we settled on a workshop because the question is, why should we have new knowledge? Yet even the old knowledge, we are so scattered. So why don't we redig the old knowledge first, become at least uniform in what we do, and in the knowledge we carry, and in the practice of it, then we can generate new knowledge. So we proposed a workshop where, for example, we will be reminded catechism. What is the theology of catechism? What is ordination? And the theology of ordination. And all these other things for all ministers. Again, if you look at the text, there is the issue of verse 8. They were not required to account. The HT is whispering to me that we should also do digital migration in the way we do finances. I think those were the questions. Oh, non-traditional celebrations. I think that's something we can consider, especially in doing the works. We will consider that. Thank you very much. I think I answered to the question of diaspora ordinations and the intake for the 22-year-olds. I think the DSG is in a better position.
Thank you. You know that some of the things that we do are anchored within some structures. What we are doing here today will not form an aid by itself, but it will form part of the report that will be submitted to the business for further relooking and guidance where necessary. And therefore, this meeting, I can assure you, is a very, very important meeting. It is not an aid by itself, but it will help this subcommittee gather enough thoughts and views like the ones that are coming that will form a report that will be our next report to the business. So some of the things that are being proposed here, even the subcommittee by itself may not be able to give answers. But this is a subcommittee of the business. And therefore, as the business committee continues to meet, this subcommittee will continue to have reports given to the business. Even for us to meet here, the subcommittee made proposals to the business that part of the things that we would want to have is to have forums for sensitization. And therefore the business, and to allow that there be forums different for sensitization. And therefore after this, the report that we are getting and the more recommendations that we will get in this forum and even at individual levels will form part of the report to the business. Though we never gave all the information, this anniversary subcommittee has 4 subcommittees within itself. There's a subcommittee that is dealing with the literature and communication, and they are doing a lot of writing and doing a lot of research, and they will be reaching out to us. We have a subcommittee that is looking at the theological issues. We have a subcommittee that is dealing with the growth, and they will be doing some surveys. And then we have a subcommittee that is dealing with events. Therefore, we have 4 subcommittees that are working, and they keep coming together to bring their proposals on what they are working on. And therefore, I know from today, we will be richer than we were before you good people came. Thank you. Moderator, we can take probably the next set of maybe few questions or comments.
Okay, now let's receive the comments that you people have. Okay, Elder.
Thank you, moderator and the members. My name is Naomi Joki. My question is based on finances. As we remember in Israel, Israelites walipomaliza 50 years, all their sins, they were forgiven. Now, as we are celebrating 100 years, as we had our first African clergy, is there, can we celebrate, help those presbyteries who were moving with their debts more than 5 years or 20 or so that we can waive all their debts and open a new chapter for them? Thank you.
HT, you're wondering whether you should be here. Now you're here. Reverend Mwati.
Thank you. Alliance is ecumenical. The fact that it is owned by several churches. But I think the only thing that we can change is the Bible, because we can't have another Bible. Of us doing our own things, it Alliance, as much as it is ecumenical, because Alliance is ours more than it is for the other denominations. Can we be given a chance to celebrate, and if not alone, we be given an upper hand as we celebrate Alliance?
Thank you. Reverend Dego. Then I'll move over to this other.
Maybe I'll just ask, I'm just wondering that now we are celebrating the minister's ordination. Like if you call us to celebrate, I'll celebrate more with my core ministers we are ordained at the same time. And we can light more in clusters of how people were ordained. So I'm also looking forward to see maybe one of the most critical questions that I've been asking when the DSG was talking. How safe are we with this serious literature and history that we are gathering? I can see some people learning with it to graduate with PhDs and masters from the research that have been collected from us. How secure are we? Because you collect such rich history that can make you a doctor, and then we learn with it PCA carelessly, and somebody graduates with a research. I'm hesitant to trust if there is no disclaimer that information cannot be used for somebody to graduate and to use it, again, on advantage of our resources and our time, to use it for selfish gains. So I don't think we are careful on that matter. We are just losing the canon of the literature and the resources that we have. We want to gather it. And I can assure you that that literature is so rich to make somebody graduate for gathering that information. How secure are we?
Thank you. At the back, Reverend Wahome. Coming forward.
Thank you. My comment is that we need maybe to request the subcommittee to look into this issue of drug abuse, and then maybe we come up with a model hub whereby those that are affected, who are our brothers, sisters, maybe attend, it will be affordable and accessible, because that is a real issue we need to look into. Rehab center. Thank you.
For ministers? Well, I'm just wondering. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Winnie from Kajiado. I have two comments. One is we should have a clear roadmap on what we intend to do so that we are able to sensitize our members very early. That is one. The other issue is what Reverend Dego has mentioned. It's good to have a proposed budget and know how we are going to finance all these celebrations, because I know money is involved. That, and the last one is when we have celebrations, our customer is the member. Even as we want to celebrate or to have amnesty with the referees and the elders, let us not forget that our key person is our members in our congregations. Thank you.
Thank you. Elder Bwelia.
Thank you, moderator. This was received from Scotland, and they did not preach in the Great Britain. They came to Africa. But when we got it, we, the African ministers, including me, settled in Meru and Central Kenya, Kikuyu. And to this day, I believe about 95% of our members are Meru and Kikuyu. And even when we get out there to towns, you'll find that many times, most of the times, we are speaking in fluent Kimeru or fluent Kikuyu. And consequently, we rock out the others. In a town, say like Nkobo or even Chogoria, when we have people working around there and they pop into a church at Nkobo or a church at Chogoria, where my friend is Reverend Ramos, they will find that we are speaking even in Proverbs, in Kimeru. And they will easily go to the newer churches out there that are speaking in other tongues. So what are we doing? What shall we do so that mostly in the towns that we have, the ministers, the current ministers and the elders will start speaking in other languages that can be attractive, so that maybe even in this, moderator, we could start by wanting to evangelize them more and get out of Meru and get out of Central Kenya.
Thank you. Reverend Wadatu.
Okay, thank you, moderator. It is a concern. Kikuyu Presbytery and Tomotomo Presbytery most of the time suffer because they are not involved in the planning. And I would like to ask, what is the expectation of the Kikuyu Presbytery, Tomotomo Presbytery in all these plans? Because when we were celebrating the 40 years of the lady minister's ordination and the woman's guild, we found ourselves being ambushed, being told we have to do this, you have to do this, whereas we were not in the committee. So it is a concern. What are we expected to do in this celebration?
Madam Ogai.
Thank you, moderator. I've listened to Elder Buria, and I don't know whether it's Elder Buria or, but I wanted to phrase his statement so that it come clear on what would be the analysis. My question or my concern to the team, as we celebrate 100 years, what vision do we have for the next 100 years? Because we are celebrating 100 years. So what are we saying about the next or the future of the next 100 years, so that we are able to take steps that address today to ensure our continued growth. The PCA continue to grow, and we have relevance, and we are able to tap to the new generation that we have today. Thank you.
Thank you. We could hear one more. Lokadel. Okay.
Thank you. And, I have a question that I've been disturbing all the time.
about the mission areas. Maybe what are you going to do in these 100 years that we are going to come to a close of having mission areas vacant? Thank you.
That we have partly answered in the recent ordinations and postings. We were very concerned about mission areas, and therefore the number we had, most of them went to mission areas. Of course, we did not satisfy everyone, but that was a shot in the right direction. I'm sure the HT will talk about that, maybe in regard to what we are doing in regard to budgets of supporting mission areas. It is still an ongoing job, but it has started quite well. Ashwe?
Thank you. Considering that we are celebrating 100 years after the ordination of the first African ministers, I think it's also good to look back and take our mission, even outside Kenya. The people who brought this gospel here, with the limitations that they had and the plans that they had, at least the gospel came. And I think it is an opportune time for the church to also focus on going into the diaspora. In the recent past, I saw, I think a church was being sold out in the UK or somewhere. And in the discussions that were there, I thought PCA can even afford to buy those that are being sold there. And we give back to those who came, because a time has come for us now to go international. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's handle that, not as an aid in itself. I don't know, HT, what would you say? There are many issues that have been raised. Budget, waiver, mission.
Thank you, Moderator, sir, and the questioners. The first question was on debt waiver by the elder there. That would be a very, very good proposal. We already have within the Finance Committee an approval for debt waiver. So what we'll be saying is that possibly we can have a discourse or an engagement on debt write-off, or not necessarily write-off, or an engagement. So that's something that we can process. We did a bit of that in the last church financial year, and that is something that we can consider going forward in terms of the month of March. The second one was on the budget, and we like it that you are conscious of the budget. You are conscious of the budget. So for the head office budget, we have a certain vote head. And possibly why these celebrations have avoided the infrastructural celebrations is because of the budget considerations. So as you sit there, and that is why we invited all of you, including the treasurers and finance chairs, is so that in the conversations going round in your presbyteries, because that's where majority of the issues will be, please consider the budget implications so that it will not be a blame to the head office or a blame to God for having delivered the people. It will be a blame on you, because what we have had here is that each majority of those issues that we are celebrating, we are pushing them back to the presbyteries. So are there things that you will do? We are pushing them back to the presbyteries and the region. So kindly consider the budgets. We have, in the common budget, we have about 5 million that we are, of course, that 5 million we've already started. This meeting is in that vote. So it is 5 million less X, which is today. The other issue is about what are we doing about mission areas. Indeed, we realized that we needed to go out there and serve the Lord, not only in Kikuyu land, but elsewhere. So what we are doing, or what we've done, is that we realize that it is possible for us to provide a minister at that local level. Provide a minister by paying 2 things or 3 things. Paying their basic pay, please take note. From 1st of October, we are paying those ministers who are posted in the July appointment July appointments, those ministers that were posted to Nendeni areas, not any other place, to Nendeni areas, we are paying their basic pay and their house allowance. Their basic pay and their house allowance. If they are serving in hardship areas, we have provided for that. And secondly, we are also providing for a medical cover for them. So we have tested with, we intend to test. We provided a budget of 33 million in order to test that. But if things change and we realize that possibly we can handle more, we'll be coming back. There were deliberations and discussions in terms of how we raise money for that purpose. But for now, we are okay with the funds that we have, that it will be possible to pay the salaries here and also pay for the ministers in mission areas. The number that we have in the kitchen may not be sufficient, but again, the training committee will be telling you that there are other approvals. There is an approval, and possibly the committee can also consider that the timing regarding Reverend Ruboga's question regarding the mission to the marginalized or other communities, there has been a discussion and possible some approvals for recruitment of ministers in those areas. And if that could be timed, possibly moderator, during those celebrations, it will be possible to present candidates recruited for that purpose, so that the mission becomes, the time of going to those areas becomes helpful to identifying those candidates. Lastly, this is not in response to any question, but my comments regarding 100 years. As a church, we are suggesting that we look back. But the world is actually looking ahead. When Dr. Thairo, you are presenting that paper, I will tell you, your son will not be interested. They are not interested. We have hymn books. They are not interested. They are on the app. Is it possible for us to now move away from, or digitize? Digitize so that, and not just having a scanned copy, but digitizing in the proper sense, so that when you go to your gadget, you click on Holy Communion, the shorter version, you click on admission, it opens for you the liturgy, you click on this song and the song, so that you are not just scrolling, you are digitizing. So that will be a critical thing that we may need to think. As we look 100 years backwards, where are your children? They are on the digital space. They will not look at us from that perspective. They are waiting to see on the digital space. From us, within the finance committee, again, we will be automating a few things. Possibly that moderator will be a good time to launch some of the automations that we are working on, and possibly some policies that are automated that then brings in a bit of uniformity. Thank you.
Thank you. The rest of the questions to the subcommittee.
Moderator and brothers and sisters, allow me just to, there was the question of the timetable, the Presbytery involvement. We have not shared the timetable or invited any other persons. We intend to share the details after the business committee of 5th, where we submit a report, because we wouldn't have shared, we did not want to bombard you with information which you haven't heard first. So we make a commitment that as soon as the business committee meets and the committee submits a report, we will share the timetables and the roadmaps and the details for the whole celebration. Thank you very much.
Anything else that was raised that required response?
Mr. Moderator and the members present, if we didn't have data and produced a PhD because of that data, then the celebrations would be worth it. Thank you.
Okay, I think the question that Reverend Moses had raised, also to keep that security, the idea of an archive is very, very important, because when you institutionalize that, then we can have a central point through which we secure our information. So I think that one goes along with that idea. On the other hand, from Kikuyu, Thogoto and Tumutumu, the inclusion part of it, this is a preparatory end, and we are still working out. The committees are yet after the business committee on 5th, then the program will roll out, and the inclusivity will be guaranteed. And we really thank the fraternity for your input, and they will be considered in our endeavors.
What we are doing is not qualitatively academic. So if anybody was a master's or a PhD, they will still be required to do a lot of work. This work is very low. I don't think it can earn anybody a PhD or a master's directly. They will still need to engage with it and engage with the people. It could be a starting point. So we should not get very worried that we will do it and then somebody will carry it as it is and present it to a supervisor and then invite us for a graduation out of our own effort. Anafurahia